I never believed in the phrase, "the police can't help you," until this happened to me. Before all this, I trusted that if something went wrong, if someone was following me, watching me, or trying to hurt me, I could just call the police and everything would be okay. That belief stayed with me my entire life, right up until the night I realized I was completely alone. This happened when I was 26 years old. At the time, I lived in a quiet suburban town, the kind of place where nothing ever really happened. No violent crime, no missing persons, no late-night sirens. People didn't lock their doors during the day. Some didn't even lock them at night. I worked the late shift at a distribution warehouse about 20 minutes from my house. I usually got off around 2:30 in the morning, which meant the drive home was always empty and silent. I actually liked it. No traffic, no people, just the hum of my engine and the streetlights flashing past my windshield. That changed one Tuesday night. When my shift ended, everything felt normal. I clocked out, grabbed my jacket, and walked across the empty parking lot toward my car. The air was cold, and there was a strange stillness. No wind, no distant highway noise, nothing. As I unlocked my car, I noticed something that immediately made my stomach tighten. There was another car parked near mine. That didn't seem strange at first, except for one detail. The engine was running. The headlights were off, but I could see the faint glow of dashboard lights inside. It was a dark-colored sedan, parked at an angle, facing toward the exit. I stood still for a second, keys in my hand, watching it. No one got out. No doors opened. The car just sat there, idling. I told myself I was being paranoid. Maybe another employee was making a phone call. Maybe they were waiting for someone. Still, I got into my car quickly and locked the doors the moment I sat down. As I pulled out of the parking lot, I checked my mirrors. The sedan pulled out right after me. Again, I told myself it meant nothing. We were both leaving work around the same time. It was a straight road out to the main highway anyway. But once I merged onto the highway, I realized something was wrong. The sedan stayed behind me, not close enough to be tailgating, but not far enough to be casual either. It matched my speed perfectly. When I slowed down, it slowed down. When I switched lanes, it switched lanes. I drove like that for nearly 10 minutes. My heart started pounding. To test it, I took an exit I never used, one that led toward an industrial area instead of my neighborhood. The sedan followed. That's when I felt the first real wave of fear wash over me. I grabbed my phone and opened it, my thumb hovering over the emergency call button. I didn't press it yet. I kept hoping the car would turn away, that this was all just a coincidence. It wasn't. At a red light, I finally got a better look. There were two people inside the car. Both were sitting completely still, facing forward. I couldn't see their faces clearly, but I could tell they weren't talking to each other. They weren't on their phones. They weren't doing anything, just waiting. The light turned green, and I drove faster than I should have. So did they. That's when I called the police. The dispatcher answered calmly, asking for my location and what the problem was. I explained everything as clearly as I could. That a car had been following me from work, that I tried to lose them, that they were still behind me. She told me to stay calm. Her exact words were, "Sir, it's likely just another driver heading in the same direction." I told her I had taken random turns. I told her I was scared. There was a pause on the line. Then she said something that still echoes in my head. "Unless they've threatened you or made contact, there's not much we can do." My grip tightened on the steering wheel. I asked her what I should do. She suggested I drive to a well-lit area, a gas station, A grocery store. I did exactly that. I pulled into a 24-hour gas station, parked directly under the brightest lights, and sat there with my engine running. The sedan pulled in too, but instead of parking at a pump, they stopped behind me, blocking me in. I froze. The dispatcher was still on the line, but suddenly her voice felt very far away. I watched as the driver's door of the sedan opened slowly. A man stepped out. He didn't rush. He didn't shout. He just walked toward my car, hands at his sides. I screamed into the phone, telling the dispatcher someone was approaching me. She told me to stay in my vehicle and lock the doors. I was already locked in. The man stopped inches from my driver's side window. Up close, I noticed something terrifying. He was smiling. Not a friendly smile. Not a nervous smile. It was wide. Empty. Like he was excited. He knocked on my window once. Just once. And then he leaned down and whispered something I couldn't hear through the glass. I shook my head violently, mouthing no, tears streaming down my face. He straightened up, looked toward the gas station building, then back at me. And that's when he did something I will never forget. He pulled out his phone and showed me my home address on the screen. My blood turned cold. I screamed. The dispatcher finally raised her voice, asking what was happening. I told her everything at once, that the man knew where I lived, that he was right outside my car, that I was in danger. Her response crushed me. Sir, officers are currently unavailable in your area. The man at my window tilted his head, still smiling. And then, from the back seat of the sedan, someone else started laughing. I drove for a rideshare company for almost 2 years, mostly during the night. I preferred the late shifts because the roads were quieter, the passengers usually kept to themselves, and I didn't have to deal with traffic. Most nights were boring, just point A to point B. That's why this story still bothers me so much. Because if it weren't for one small decision I made, I'm convinced something terrible would have happened, and the police wouldn't have stopped it. This happened around 1:40 a.m. on a Friday. I received a pickup request from an almost empty shopping plaza on the edge of town. Most of the stores there had closed years ago. Only one pharmacy stayed open late. The name on the app was Emily. No profile picture. No rating history. That should have been my first warning. When I arrived, the parking lot was almost completely dark. One streetlight flickered near the entrance, and that was it. After about 30 seconds, a woman stepped out from between two closed stores. She wore a dark hoodie and kept her head down as she walked to my car. She got into the back seat without saying a word. I greeted her. She didn't respond. I checked the app and confirmed the destination, a residential neighborhood about 15 minutes away. As I started driving, I glanced at her in the rearview mirror. Her face was pale. Her eyes were fixed on the window. After a few minutes, I tried again to make small talk. "Long night." She hesitated, then quietly said, "He's still here." My stomach dropped. I asked who she meant. She leaned forward slightly and whispered, "The car behind us." I checked my mirrors. A dark SUV had been behind us since we left the plaza. I hadn't noticed it before because it hadn't done anything obvious. Now that I was aware of it, I realized something was wrong. It followed every turn, every lane change. I sped up. I sped up. I slowed down. I slowed down. Emily's hands were shaking. She kept looking over her shoulder. I asked her if she knew who it was. She nodded slowly. "He's been following me for weeks," she said. "I've called the police 3 times. They say unless he does something, they can't help." My heart started racing. I told her I was calling 911. She grabbed my arm. "Please don't," she said. "It just makes him angry." I ignored her and called anyway. I explained everything to the dispatcher, that we were being followed, that the passenger was terrified, that this wasn't a coincidence. The dispatcher asked for a license plate number. I tried to read it, but the SUV's headlights suddenly flashed high beams, blinding me. Emily started crying. The dispatcher told me to pull over in a safe area if possible. That's when Emily suddenly opened the door. I yelled for her to stop, but she was already out of the car. She ran between two houses before I could even react. The SUV slammed on its brakes. For a split second, I thought the driver would get out and chase her. Instead, the SUV pulled forward slowly and stopped right next to my car. The window rolled down. A man stared at me. He didn't look angry. He didn't look rushed. He looked calm. "She forgot something," he said quietly. I screamed into the phone, telling the dispatcher where I was. The man smiled and rolled his window back up. Then he drove away. Police arrived almost 20 minutes later. They searched the area. They knocked on doors. They took my statement. They never found Emily. When I followed up days later, I was told there was no record of anyone named Emily requesting a ride that night. No missing person report. No suspect. Nothing. Sometimes when I drive at night, I still check my back seat, because I'm not sure she ever really escaped. This is the last story I'm going to tell you tonight. Out of all of them, this one is the hardest for me to believe actually happened, because I was there when it started. In 2020, I lived in a small apartment building with only 6 units. It was old, poorly maintained, and cheap. The kind of place with thin walls, flickering hallway lights, and a front door that never locked properly. Most of us kept to ourselves. One of my neighbors was a woman named Lena. She lived 2 doors down from me. Quiet, polite, always looked exhausted. We'd exchange short greetings, but nothing more. Then the knocking started. Almost every night, around 3 a.m., someone would knock on Lena's door. Not pounding, not aggressive, just 3 slow, deliberate knocks. Knock, knock, knock. First, we ignored it. Old buildings made noise. Drunk people wandered in sometimes. It didn't seem serious, but it kept happening. Every night, same time, same pattern. Lena told me she looked through the peephole every time. There was never anyone there. She called the police after several nights. They came, looked around, and told her there was no sign of forced entry. One officer even joked that it was probably kids messing around. The knocking didn't stop. I started hearing it at my door too. One night, I opened my door right after the knocks ended. The hallway was empty, but the air felt wrong, heavy, like someone had just stepped away. Lena installed a door camera. The next morning, she showed me the footage. At exactly 3:07 a.m., the camera activated. The hallway lights flickered. You could hear the knocking clearly, but there was nothing on screen. A few nights later, the knocking changed. It became scratching. Long, slow sounds dragged across the door, like fingernails. Lena called the police again, crying this time. Same response. No proof. No threat. No crime. 2 days later, she stopped answering her phone. When I walked past her apartment, I noticed her door was slightly open, just an inch. I called her name. No response. The police arrived and went inside her apartment. They told me later that Lena had left voluntarily, but that didn't make sense. Her phone was still there, her purse, her shoes, and carved deep into the inside of her door were 3 words. "Let me in." The police said it could have been stress, a breakdown, self-inflicted. They closed the case. Someone new moved in a week later. The knocking stopped for a while. Then one night, at exactly 3:07 a.m., I heard it again. Knock, knock, knock. This time, it was coming from inside my apartment.